I used to think waiting was passive, something you endured, something you survived, something you got through. But lately I've realized that waiting isn't passive at all. Waiting is a mirror. Because when life slows down, when the answers don't come, when the breakthrough doesn't arrive, when the timeline changes, something unexpected happens. You start meeting parts of yourself you didn't know were there. Fear, control, loneliness, faith, resentment, hope. All of it rises to the surface. The waiting room has a way of introducing you to yourself, and that can be both beautiful and terrifying. Today we're talking about what waiting reveals about us. And friends, this might be the deepest conversation we've had in this series so far. Over the last few episodes, we've talked about the hidden grief of becoming someone new, feeling stuck despite doing everything right, and the danger of putting your life on hold. But underneath all of those conversations was a bigger question. What is this season trying to teach us? Because maybe the waiting room isn't just a place. Maybe it's a classroom. And maybe some of the lessons aren't about our circumstances at all. Maybe they're about us. A different way to think about it, isn't it? Hey y'all, welcome back to Ways of Change. If you're new here, my name is Vanessa, and this channel is for women navigating reinvention, purpose, faith, wellness, delayed dreams, and the often uncomfortable space between where they are and where they hope to be. Today we're going a little deep, not about what life is doing, but about what life is revealing. So let's go there. If you've ever sat in a waiting room long enough, eventually the distractions fade. You read all the magazines, people watch until everyone starts looking like the great unable. And when the distractions fade, you're left with your thoughts. And that's where things get interesting. One of the first things waiting revealed about me was how much I like control. I like plans. I like timelines. I like knowing what's next. I like certainty. And if I'm real honest with myself, I thought if I worked hard enough, prepared enough, planned enough, life would cooperate. Then came delayed opportunities, retirement denials, job rejections, unanswered questions, unexpected detours. And suddenly I realized I wasn't just frustrated. I was grieving the illusion of control. That realization hit hard. It did. Waiting forced me to acknowledge that there are some things I simply can't manage into existence. And that was humbling. Maybe you felt that too. But control wasn't the only thing waiting exposed. There was another emotion underneath it, one I didn't expect. Can we talk about being an empty nester for a minute? Because nobody really prepares you for it. People talk about diapers, school drop-offs, teenage years, college, but nobody really talks about the silence. The house gets quieter. The routines change. The people who once needed you every day suddenly need you differently. And while you're incredibly proud of them, part of you is grieving. I remember realizing that my role had changed. Not disappeared, changed. A small distinction. A huge emotional difference, though. And that was harder than I expected. Because for years, motherhood wasn't just something I did, it was a part of who I was. Waiting revealed how much of my identity had been connected to being needed. And when that need changed, I had to rediscover myself, not as a mother, but as Vanessa. That's not an easy question in midlife. Who am I when the roles begin to shift? Who am I becoming? Sometimes the waiting room asks the questions before it reveals the answers. And that question led me somewhere deeper. Because once you start losing old identities, you begin discovering old fears. I think one of the hardest parts of waiting is watching other people move. People retire, people relocate, people launch businesses, people find love, people get promoted, people seem to move forward. And if we're not careful, we start asking ourselves, what's wrong with me? Waiting revealed a fear I didn't know I was carrying. The fear of being left behind, not intellectually, emotionally. Because comparison has a way of convincing us that everyone else's life is unfolding perfectly while ours is stalled. But comparison rarely tells the truth, y'all. It only tells part of the story, and usually the most polished part. Remember that. And once I stopped comparing myself to everyone else, another realization surfaced, one that completely surprised me. For a long time, I thought waiting was exposing my weaknesses. But looking back, I see something different. It was also revealing my strengths. Every episode I recorded, every rejection I survived, every uncertainty I navigated, every morning I've shown up anyway, that's resilience. Simple as that. I didn't know how resilient I was until life stopped giving me immediate answers. Maybe that's true for you too. Maybe you're stronger than you think. And perhaps the most surprising thing waiting revealed wasn't the fear or control or even resilience. It was gratitude. One of the greatest gifts of the season has been perspective. Because when life slows down, you start noticing things. The ordinary things, the beautiful things, the things you once rushed past. Conversations, sunrises, phone calls, grandchildren, health, friendships, ordinary Tuesdays. Funny how the smallest moments often become the biggest memories. The very things I might have overlooked if life had unfolded exactly according to my plans. Waiting revealed that I had been measuring my life by milestones when I should have been measuring by the moments. That shift changed everything for me. The more I reflected on everything this waiting season revealed, the more I realized it was about perspective too, because waiting has a way of magnifying what's missing. The opportunity that hasn't arrived, the answer we haven't received, the timeline that didn't unfold the way we hoped, the breakthrough that's taken longer than expected. And when we're focused on what's missing, it's easy to overlook what's already here. And I think that's one of the reasons gratitude is so powerful. Not because gratitude ignores reality or it pretends everything is perfect. Gratitude simply widens our view. It reminds us that two things can be true at the same time. You could still want more, my friend, and appreciate what you already have. You could be waiting and still be grateful. You could be disappointed and still recognize the blessings that surround you. And in many ways, gratitude is what keeps the waiting room from becoming a prison. Because gratitude gently redirects our attention from what hasn't happened to what is actually happening. And that's exactly what our spiritual anchor helped me understand. The spiritual anchor verse is Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Notice what this verse doesn't say. It doesn't say all things feel good. It says God works through them. even the waiting, even the uncertainty, even the unanswered questions. Perhaps God isn't just preparing the blessing. Maybe He's preparing us as well. Right now, friends, I want to invite you into something a little different, something that has helped me tremendously during this season. No, it's not another lesson, not another strategy, not another mindset shift, a practice. Because understanding gratitude intellectually is one thing, experiencing it is something entirely. This gratitude meditation isn't about denying your struggles. It's not about pretending everything is okay when it's not. It's about creating space to acknowledge what's still good while you're waiting for what comes next. Think of it as a way to reconnect with the present moment, a way to remind yourself that your life isn't only happening in the future. It's happening right now. So wherever you are, if you're able, take a deep breath. Allow yourself to settle in, and let's spend the next few moments noticing what's already here. Again, taking a deep breath, inhale and exhale. Allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your jaw to soften. Allow yourself to be fully present. Now think about the thing you've been waiting for, the breakthrough, the opportunity, the answer, the next chapter. Now gently set it down, just for the moment. Instead, bring your attention to what already exists. Picture a person you love, a memory that makes you smile, a lesson you've learned, a challenge you've overcome, a simple blessing you've been overlooking. Take a moment to mentally thank God for those things. Now ask yourself, what if this season isn't empty? What if it's full of lessons, full of growth, full of grace, full of preparation, full of life? Sit with that for a second. Now take one more deep breath in, and as you exhale, whisper, "Thank you for this moment." Friends, thank you for participating in this gratitude meditation with me. Maybe the waiting room isn't revealing what's wrong with us. Maybe it's revealing what's been there all along. Our fears, our hopes, our wounds, our resilience, our faith. And maybe that's why waiting is so darn uncomfortable, because it introduces us to ourselves. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me, what has this season of waiting revealed about you? And if you know someone who's in a waiting season right now, share this episode with them. You never know who might need it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss part 5 of the Waiting Room series. Next time we're talking about when the door finally opens. Because after all this waiting, what happens when the thing you've been praying for actually arrives? That's going to be a powerful conversation. Until then, I'm Vanessa, and this is Waves of Change. Remember, you're never too late, and your peace is never too far. I'll see you on the next wave. Bye.